These creatures just hung around for quite some time. They're like irregular shapes, but all just like two-dimensional, like cardboards. Walking around, moving around, making noises and just hanging around right there all the time.
Namaskaram Sadhguru. Our scriptures and even our temple sculptures depict many kinds of beings like Ganas and Yakshas. Are these the same beings that are visiting Manasarovar?
The only two cultures which have documented this to some extent are the Indian culture has documented it hugely, and the Greek culture has done it to some extent. When we say beings from another realm, these are only two cultures which are describing definite forms. So here we have Yakshas, Gandharvas, Ganas, Kinnaras, Apsaras, Kritikas, and there's so many like this. I think we have well-recognized beings from other realms, at least over 11-12 varieties of them. Greeks also have similar numbers recognized. The best library of this kind is in Adyar in Chennai. The Theosophical Library is supposed to have immense collection of occult books which deal with all these aspects. More than the spiritual process, it's the occult which explores these aspects because they're always looking how to use some kind of entity which has the necessary power, intelligence and access to do things for them. So I think Gautama himself talks a lot about these things. Buddha himself talks about a lot of different types of beings that he faced in his sadhana, which invariably one is bound to face when they move into certain aspects. Particularly when we were in another place, lots of things have happened. But particularly when we were moving towards the consecration of the Analinga, these kind of beings were every day happening, all kinds. I'm not good at categorizing and naming them and saying this is this, this is that, but they're distinctly different, that's for sure. It was all there but didn't pay attention. But elsewhere, I have paid attention to some of these things, but it is wasteful in many ways because none of them will be of any spiritual significance to me. So, if I paid little attention to them, the moment I realized that's not it, I took my attention off those things because they were never of any spiritual consequence. They were only the existential consequence. If you want to explore the existence, yes. But if you want to know this, they're of no use because they're just in a different form, as ignorant as you are. Maybe with different kind of capabilities which will look incredible to you, but I'm sure your capabilities look incredible to them. Otherwise they wouldn't be visiting, isn't it? These days I don't have this luxury. At that time, there was no wall around the house and the morning, always by 5:45, 6, when the sun is rising, we always came and sat in the outside corridor. And temple was still not there. I'm just building the temple in my mind. Every day I sit there and gazing in the direction where it should come up. I'm just… because I don't have the money, I don't have the material, I just have to only what's in my mind. At that time, these creatures just hung around for quite some time. They're like irregular shapes, but all just like two-dimensional, like cardboards. Walking around, moving around and making noises and just hanging around right there all the time. Sometimes I could not ignore them because they were so noisy. And it so happened sometimes that other people in the house heard the voices and noises that I was talking to somebody. And they would come out and see that I was not talking to anybody. They cannot hear what, but they hear something. I never spoke, but they were making so many noises. You need to understand, noise means the kind of noise that we make, only we can make. When I say the kind of noise, well, the birds can make a different kind of noise, but both of us are making the same noise in terms of frequency. There are other creatures here who are making other kinds of noises, which you cannot hear. So usually, these beings are making other kinds of noises you cannot hear, but these were making noises that… like our kind of noises, that is, somewhere in the frequency range that we communicate in. I didn't explore all this because my time was running out, my sense was slipping, so I was putting up the bricks. I sat there and putting up the bricks because my foundation was slipping away so rapidly.